I'm not inviting you to my room. I mean, I am, but for the stain. Your stain. The stain on your... I gestured again, caught myself, shoved both hands behind my back. I can get it out, the stain, with club soda, in a professional, completely non-sexual... Stop. One word. Low, the kind of voice that made rooms go quiet without raising a single decibel. I stopped. He looked down at his ruined suit, touched the wet fabric with 2 fingers, examined the wine dripping from his silk tie into the hollow of his throat. Then he looked at me. You just ruined a brioni. My stomach bottomed out. How much is a brioni? More than you can afford. You don't know what I can afford. His eyebrow lifted. 1 millimeter. What's your name? Xuān. Kayla Xuān. He pulled out his phone, typed something, glanced at the screen. Analytics department, 3rd floor, 4 years, $62,000 before taxes. He slipped the phone back into his jacket. So no, you can't afford it. You looked me up in 5 seconds? I bought this company this morning. Every employee file is on my phone. His eyes traveled down to the wine glass still clutched in my white-knuckled grip. Though none of them mentioned a woman who'd assault me at the welcome party. It was an accident. Was it? The question landed in my chest. Someone bumped my arm. I saw. He plucked a wine-soaked napkin from the table beside us and dabbed his collar. Unhurried. The approach wasn't an accident, though. You've been circling the bar for 20 minutes. The air left my lungs. I just wanted to introduce myself to the new... You rehearsed a line. I watched your lips move. He stepped closer, close enough that his cologne cut through the sharp bite of spilled wine. So which was it? Mr. Caravelli, I wanted to personally welcome you, or something more creative? I couldn't speak. He leaned in, his voice dropped below the hearing of anyone else. The wine was an accident, but you came looking for me, so here I am. His eyes held mine. What do you want, Kayla Xuān? Behind us, the crowd was starting to murmur again, conversations restarting, the spectacle winding down. My throat was dry. I just want to clean your suit. Then let's go. He straightened, adjusted his cuffs, wine still dripping down his front, and he carried it with the posture of a man who had survived worse. Lead the way. We walked to the elevator. His bodyguard materialized from nowhere, massive shaved head, hands built for damage, and fell into step behind us. Franklin glanced over his shoulder, didn't speak, didn't gesture. The bodyguard stopped walking, stationed himself beside a potted plant, and didn't follow. One look, that was all it took. I filed that away underneath the panic. The elevator doors opened. We stepped inside. The doors closed, 15th floor, 16, 17. I stared at the emergency phone, at the inspection certificate, at anything that wasn't the man standing 2 feet behind me, radiating heat and authority and something that made the elevator feel half its size. You can breathe. I exhaled. Hadn't realized I'd stopped. I'm breathing. You're holding your bag so tight your knuckles are white. I loosened my grip. I'm fine. I caught his reflection in the mirrored wall. He was watching me, my posture, the way I shifted my weight from one foot to the other. I looked away first. The doors opened on my floor. I walked fast, so fast I nearly caught my heel on the carpet. Kept moving until I got to room 914. I pressed the keycard to the lock. Red light. Again. Red. My fingers were trembling too hard to keep the card steady. He took it from my hand, opened the door on the first try, held it. I slipped past him into the room. Standard corporate hotel, king bed, generic art, a view of the parking structure. The lamp on the nightstand threw everything in dim gold. He closed the door behind us. You can. I pointed toward the bathroom. Take those off, the pants, for cleaning. My voice pitched up half an octave. I meant for cleaning purposes, stain removal. That's the only reason I'm asking you to remove your pants. He didn't move toward the bathroom. Just watched me from 3 feet away. He removed his jacket, slowly, folded it with precision, and placed it on the chair. Loosened his tie. Every movement deliberate, measured, taking his time while wine soaked through to his skin. I used the moment, moved toward the nightstand, reached past the lamp toward the decorative vase where I'd placed the camera that morning. Small, wireless, angled toward the bed. My fingers found it, adjusted the tilt 2 degrees left. You've been watching me all night. My hand was still inside the vase. What? I pulled back, tried to look confused. No, I was just... You probably also researched me. He took a step forward, my lungs locked. I just wanted to make a good impression on the new boss. By inviting me to your hotel room? He was close now. His cologne mixing with the Cabernet into something warm and disorienting. His eyes dropped from my face, past my collarbone, to the tiny camera pinned to the inside of my bra strap barely hidden by the neckline of my dress. Ice replaced the blood in my veins. He reached out, slowly. His fingers brushed my collarbone, warm, deliberate, and found the camera, pulled it free. The pin snagged fabric, and I felt the sting across my skin. He set it on the table between us, turned it over in his palm. Then he looked at me. Now. His voice was soft, almost gentle. Somehow that was worse than shouting. Tell me what you really want. Money? He turned the camera over again, casual, bored, information, blackmail material. He listed the options the way someone might read a dinner menu. No shock, no outrage, just mild curiosity. This wasn't his first time. I don't know what you're... Don't? One word, final. His eyes pinned me where I stood. I've had people try to destroy me my whole life. I know what a trap looks like. So I'll ask once more. He set the camera down. What do you want? Against every screaming instinct telling me to apologize, to beg, to crumble, I heard my own voice come out steady and stupid and sure. What makes you think I'll tell you? His eyes narrowed. The boredom vanished. I'd surprised him. For half a second, I'd caught him off guard, and the crack in his composure was the most terrifying thing I'd ever seen, because it meant he was actually paying attention now. He moved, fast. 1 second he was by the table. The next he had me against the wall, one arm braced beside my head, his body blocking the door. The lamp threw half his face into shadow. Wasn't this what you wanted? His voice dropped low. His mouth was inches from mine. He nodded towards the lamp, letting me know that he knew about the second camera. To get me alone? To get close? Now what? My heart slammed against my ribs. My hands pressed flat against the wall behind me. Then he kissed me, hard, demanding. His hand found the back of my neck, tilting my head exactly where he wanted it. No hesitation, no asking. I froze. Then my body betrayed me, shoulders dropping, lips parting, spine softening against the wall without a single instruction from my brain. My hands hovered at my sides. I didn't know where to put them. On his chest, his arms. Nowhere felt right. Everything felt like too much. He pulled back, studied my face. Those dark eyes cataloging every micro-expression I was failing to hide. You've never done this before. Heat flooded my face, my neck, my ears. Of course I have, liar. But his voice had changed. The edge was gone, replaced by something quieter, curiosity, the way someone picks up a book they weren't expecting to find interesting. He stepped back, created space. Cool air rushed into the gap where his body had been. Who are you, Kayla Xuān? I should have let him leave. Let the disaster end here. Instead, I pushed off the wall, stepped into his space, chin up, eyes on his. I already told you, Kayla Xuān. A lie. I was terrified. But the terror had curdled into something reckless, something sharp, and the words were out before I could swallow them. His jaw tightened. The curiosity in his expression sharpened into something raw. Interest, hunger, the kind of look that made the room shrink. You should be scared of me. Low, almost a growl. Probably. I didn't move, didn't blink. Are you going to show me why? 3 seconds passed. 4, 5. Then he laughed. Actually laughed. A short surprise sound that cracked his whole face open. Made him look younger, almost human. Dio mio. He shook his head. You have no idea who I am, do you? You're Franklin Caravelli, the man who just bought my company. That's what I do in the daylight. He picked up the camera from the table, turned it over once more, slipped it into his jacket pocket. But you tried to blackmail me, so I think you should know who you're really dealing with. My mouth went dry. And who's that? He walked to the door, paused with his hand on the handle. Have dinner with me tomorrow, and I'll tell you. Dinner? You're not angry? Calling the police? He turned, looked at me over his shoulder. No, first, I wouldn't need the police to deal with you. The words hung in the air. My spine went cold. Second, his eyes traveled over me once, slowly, deliberately, before returning to my face. I find you rather interesting. He opened the door. Don't be late, Miss Xuān. One last look, one last almost smile. I hate waiting. The door clicked shut behind him. I stood there for a long moment, staring at the place where he'd been. Then my legs gave out and I slid down the wall, sitting on the carpet with my knees pulled to my chest. My heart was still pounding. My lips were still burning. My hands were still shaking. What the hell just happened? And why? Against every instinct, against every rational thought, against everything I knew about self-preservation, did I want to find out? Kayla, the Henderson report. I looked up. My manager was standing at my desk, hand out, waiting. Right, yes, I clicked through 3 tabs, opened the wrong file, closed it, opened another. Sorry, I just need to... It was due an hour ago. I know, I pulled up the spreadsheet and my stomach dropped. I'd entered the same row of data twice. The totals were wrong. The whole second page was wrong. Can I have 10 more minutes? She gave me a look that said I was already out of minutes. Walked away. My phone was face down on my desk. I flipped it over. Nothing. No messages. No unknown numbers. No Franklin Caravelli telling me he'd reported me to the police or the FBI or whatever agency handled attempted blackmail by idiot employees. I flipped it back over, tried to focus on the spreadsheet, entered a number, deleted it, entered it again. Okay, what's going on with you? Derek rolled his chair over to my cubicle, coffee in hand. Nothing. You've been staring at Henderson's numbers for 40 minutes and they're still wrong. He leaned closer, dropped his voice. Did something happen at the party? I saw you near the bar when Caravelli... Derek, I cut him off. What do you know about the Caravelli family? The color drained from his face, actually drained. I watched it happen in real time. Kayla. He set down his coffee, pulled his chair closer. Stay away from him. Why? Old money, old other things, barely a whisper now. Organized crime, Mafia. He went legitimate a few years ago, but the kind of legitimate where people still disappear if they cross him. Mafia. I'd tried to blackmail a Mafia boss. I'd hidden a camera in my bra and tried to trap a man who made people disappear. Why are you asking? Derek's eyes narrowed. What happened? Nothing. Just curious about the new boss. Kayla, whatever you're thinking, don't. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. 2 words, I'm outside. I have to go. I grabbed my bag, stood up too fast, knocked my pen holder off the desk. Kayla, I'll see you tomorrow, Derek. I didn't look back. He was leaning against a black car. No bodyguard, no entourage, just him. Charcoal suit, no tie, sleeves rolled to his forearms. Golden hour light catching the silver at his temples. He glanced up from his phone when I stepped outside. Didn't smile, just watched me approach. You came. Did I have a choice? Always. He opened the passenger door. Get in. I got in. The drive was quiet. I gripped my bag in my lap and stared out the window and tried to think of something to say that wasn't, are you going to kill me, or I'm sorry I tried to blackmail you, or please don't make me disappear. You're afraid of me now. I didn't look at him. I heard some things, and yet you still came. I figured I'm dying either way. The words left my mouth before I could catch them. He glanced at me, sharp. What does that mean? Shit, just, I forced a laugh. YOLO, whatever. He didn't respond, but I felt him file it away. Add it to whatever profile he was building. Another piece of the puzzle he hadn't figured out yet. The restaurant had no sign, just a heavy wooden door set into a brick building in a part of the city I'd never been to. Inside, exposed brick, candlelight, white tablecloths, and completely empty. You rented the whole place? I wanted privacy. For what? He pulled out my chair, his breath warm against my ear, to figure you out without an audience. I sat. He took the seat across from me. A waiter appeared from nowhere, poured wine, and vanished. I thought you were going to tell me who you really are, I said. I thought you were going to tell me why you tried to blackmail me. I asked first. His mouth twitched. Touché. The food arrived, first course, something delicate with truffle that melted on my tongue. I ate it too fast, he noticed. When's the last time you had a proper meal? Define proper. Something that didn't come out of a microwave or a vending machine. I eat fine. You just inhaled a $60 appetizer in under a minute. It was good. You barely chewed. Are you monitoring my chewing now? I'm observing. He swirled his wine. You're thin, you have dark circles under your eyes that foundation doesn't quite cover, and you attack that plate with the urgency of someone who forgets to eat. He took a sip, or can't afford to. My fork stilled. I eat fine. You said that already. Because it's true. People who eat fine don't say it twice. I set down my fork. Is this the dinner conversation? You critique my eating habits while I wait for you to tell me whether you're going to have me arrested? I'm not going to have you arrested. Then what are you going to do? He leaned back. The candlelight played across his face, jaw sharp, eyes dark, the faintest trace of amusement in the way he held his mouth. Not smiling. Never quite smiling, just always almost. I'm going to finish this very expensive wine, I'm going to eat this very good food, and I'm going to enjoy the company of the only woman who surprised me in years. He picked up his glass. If that's all right with you. I didn't know what to say to that, so I picked up my fork and kept eating. The second course came, then a third. Somewhere between the fish and whatever came after it, I stopped checking the exits, stopped calculating how fast I could get to the door. He told me about buying the company, not the boardroom version, the real version. The part where the previous owner cried, the part where Franklin almost walked away because the man's grandson worked in the mailroom and Franklin didn't want to be the reason a kid hated going to work. You didn't walk away, though, I said. No, why not? Because the company was hemorrhaging money, and sentiment doesn't fix a balance sheet. So you're ruthless. I'm practical. Is there a difference? Practical people lose sleep over it. He set down his glass. Ruthless people don't. And which one are you? Depends on the night. I laughed. I didn't mean to. It just came out, short, surprised, real. And he looked at me when I did, and something in his face shifted. Not softened. Opened. Just for a second. Then it closed again. Dessert arrived. Chocolate, gold flakes, absurdly beautiful. The waiter disappeared. The restaurant was still. Just us and candlelight and the ruins of a meal I'd remember for the rest of my life, however long that turned out to be. My hands were under the table. My right thumb was pressing into my left palm so hard it hurt, now or never. I took a breath, set down my fork. I have a proposition. Franklin's eyes locked onto mine. He set down his fork, leaned back. I'm listening. And before I say it, I need you to know that I've thought about this and I know how it sounds, and I was stalling. I could hear myself stalling. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Please do. I'll sleep with you for $650,000. The warmth from dinner vanished. Franklin's face went cold. The easy charm, the almost smiles, the genuine laugh, all of it disappeared, replaced by something hard and distant. I thought you were different. The words landed in my chest. Different how? Different from every other woman who sees a wallet instead of a man. He leaned back in his chair, putting distance between us. My mistake. I flinched. It hurt more than it should have. More than made sense for a man I'd known less than 48 hours. A man I'd tried to trap. A man I had no right to feel anything about. But I didn't back down. Do you want me or not? His eyes narrowed. What makes you think you're worth $650,000 to me? Each word precise, cutting. I've had women throw themselves at me for free. The blow landed. I felt it in my stomach, my chest, the back of my throat. I absorbed it, kept going. Then say no. He studied me across the table. The candles flickered between us, casting shadows across his face. Why that number? His voice was quieter now. Why so specific? Does it matter? It does to me. He leaned forward, elbows on the table. I could find out everything about you in minutes, bank accounts, medical records, family, everything. His eyes held mine, but I didn't because I wanted to unwrap you myself, slowly. My throat tightened. Don't make me regret that. I need the money. For what? The words stuck in my throat. I'm a virgin. It burst out of me. Desperate, pathetic, the last card I had to play. Doesn't that add value or something? His jaw tightened. The coldness in his expression shifted into something worse. Disappointment. He stood, placed his napkin on the table, buttoned his jacket. We're done here. Wait, I reached for him, pushing back from the table too fast. The room tilted, the candlelight smeared. Franklin's face blurred, the floor rushed up to meet me. Then darkness swallowed me whole. I woke to an unfamiliar ceiling. High, white, crown molding, voices nearby. A woman's voice, professional and clipped. Recommend a full panel. The fainting, the pallor, I sat up fast. Too fast. The room spun. No! Franklin stood near the window, arms crossed. A woman in a white coat turned to look at me. Middle-aged, glasses, the kind of calm competence that screamed private physician. Miss Xuān? She moved toward the bed. I'm Dr. Reyes. You collapsed at dinner. I'd like to run some tests. It's low blood sugar. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, realized I was still in my dress, still wearing my shoes. Someone had just carried me here. I forgot to eat today. I'm fine. Your symptoms suggest I said I'm fine. The words came out sharper than I intended. Final. The doctor's eyebrows rose. Franklin watched from the window, said nothing, but his eyes tracked every movement, every micro-expression, every tell I was trying to hide. He knew, or suspected. I could see it in the way he looked at me, not with anger anymore, but with something more dangerous. Curiosity. He nodded at the doctor. She hesitated, then packed her bag, left without another word. The door clicked shut behind her. Franklin moved toward the door. Get some rest. I'll have someone drive you home in the morning. Wait! I grabbed his hand before I could think better of it. His skin was warm, his fingers tensed under mine. He stopped, looked at my hand on his, then at my face. What's wrong? I heard myself say. Don't have $650,000 to spare? Or are you just not man enough to take what's offered? His eyebrow rose. The cold mask cracked, just slightly. The mouth on you. Is that a complaint? It's an observation. The corner of his mouth twitched. Almost a smile. Almost. Why not both? He laughed, short, surprised. The sound transformed his face again, made him human again, just for a second. I swung my legs off the bed, stood up. The room stayed steady this time. I'm hungry, and you owe me dessert since I missed it. You fainted, and now I'm awake. I looked him dead in the eye. Feed me. He stared at me. This woman who'd tried to trap him, who'd propositioned him, who'd collapsed in his restaurant and refused his doctor, and was now demanding food in his house like she had any right to be here. He shook his head, but there was something in his eyes that hadn't been there before. Interest, maybe, or amusement, or something else entirely. Fine. He moved toward the door, held it open. Kitchen's downstairs. His kitchen was ridiculous. Marble countertops that stretched for miles. A stove with more burners than I could count. Copper pots hanging from a rack, everything gleaming under soft pendant lights, everything pristine, everything clearly kept in perfect condition. I love cooking. I ran my hand along the cold marble. It's the one thing I'm actually good at. Besides blackmail, I opened his fridge, stared at the contents, closed it again. I'm clearly terrible at that. I opened the fridge again, hoping something had changed. It hadn't. Wow, rich people fridges are depressing. This is all. Health food, kale, egg whites, something green that I think might be alive. Sorry to disappoint. We're making something sweet. I started opening cabinets, found flour, sugar, cocoa powder, chocolate lava cakes, move. I shooed him away from the counter he was leaning against. He raised an eyebrow, but moved. 2 staff members lingered near the doorway, a man and a woman in matching black uniforms watching us with carefully blank expressions. Franklin glanced at them. Just a glance. They disappeared. We were alone. I pulled out mixing bowls, measuring cups, a whisk that looked like it had never touched batter. The kitchen transformed around me, no longer intimidating, just a space with tools I knew how to use. The first time I'd felt comfortable in days. You can help. I slid a cutting board toward him, placed a block of dark chocolate on top. Chop that. I don't cook. Tonight you do. He stared at the chocolate, then at me, then at the knife I was holding out. He took it. I bit back a smile and turned to measure the flour. Behind me, I heard the tentative sound of metal against chocolate, hesitant, uncertain. Nothing like the confident man who'd cornered me against a wall last night. Smaller pieces. I didn't turn around. You're making chunks, not shards. I'm making what the chocolate gives me. The chocolate doesn't give you anything. You take what you want. I glanced over my shoulder. I thought you'd know something about that. His eyes met mine, dark, amused. The mouth on you. You keep saying that. You keep earning it. I turned back to my flour, hiding the flush creeping up my neck. Mixed the dry ingredients. Melted butter in a pan. Cracked eggs into a bowl with one hand. A trick I'd learned at 16, cooking dinner for my brother while our foster mother worked doubles. Where did you learn? Franklin had abandoned the chocolate, was watching me work instead. Learn what? To cook. Necessity. I whisked the eggs. When you're responsible for feeding someone else, you figure it out. Someone else? I didn't answer, just held out my hand. Chocolate. He brought the cutting board over. Our fingers brushed during the transfer. I pulled back, focused on folding the chocolate into the batter. It's not terrible. I examined his handiwork for a first attempt. High praise. Don't let it go to your head. I divided the batter into ramekins, slid them into the oven, set a timer. Now we wait. For how long? 12 minutes. I leaned against the counter. Think you can handle 12 minutes without buying something or intimidating someone? He laughed. That real laugh again, the one that made him look younger. Human. I'll try to restrain myself. The timer ticked. I found myself relaxing into the space, into the strange domesticity of standing in a mafia boss's kitchen with chocolate on my fingers and 12 minutes to kill. Tell me something, I said. Something true. Like what? I don't know. Something you don't tell people. I licked chocolate from my thumb. Consider it payment for the cooking lesson. He was quiet for a moment, watching me with those dark eyes. I hate this house. I blinked. What? This house. He gestured vaguely at the gleaming kitchen, the perfect appliances, the empty perfection of it all. I bought it because it was expected, the right address, the right square footage, the right everything. He picked up the whisk I'd abandoned, turned it over in his hands. I've lived here for 5 years. It's never felt like home. I didn't know what to say to that. This man who had everything, who could buy anything, standing in his showpiece kitchen and admitting it meant nothing. The timer had 8 minutes left. Your turn, he said. Something true. My chest tightened. I reached for the vanilla extract at the same moment he did. Our hands collided. I yanked back too fast, elbow catching the knife I'd left on the counter. Shit! The blade caught his finger, a thin line of red welling up. Oh my God, I grabbed his hand without thinking. The blood was bright against his skin, already dripping. I'm so sorry, I didn't. I put his finger in my mouth. The taste of copper, the warmth of his skin, the absolute insanity of what I was doing. I froze. His finger was in my mouth. I was standing in his kitchen with his finger in my mouth, and I couldn't remember how I'd gotten here or why this had seemed like a reasonable response to a small cut. His eyes had gone dark, very dark. I was going to behave tonight. His voice was rougher, lower. Because you're clearly unwell. Because you fainted in my restaurant and refused a doctor's care, and I was trying to be a gentleman. His free hand came up, touched my jaw. But you are seriously testing me. I released his finger, stepped back. My heart was slamming against my ribs. Then I stepped forward again, into his space, close enough to feel the heat coming off his body, close enough to see the slight widening of his pupils. I rose up on my toes, pressed my lips to his cheek. Let them linger. I want you. It came out breathy, nervous, not confident at all. He laughed, low, dangerous. Do you even know what that means? Show me. His hands found my waist, lifted me, set me on the counter in one smooth motion, my back against the cabinet, my legs dangling, my breath catching. Open up. What? Your mouth. He stepped between my knees, cupped my face in his hands. Let me show you how it's done. I opened my mouth. He kissed me. Not like the hotel room, hard and punishing and designed to prove a point. This was different, slower, deeper. His tongue sliding against mine, teaching me the rhythm, guiding me through each movement until I stopped thinking and just felt. My hands found his shirt, clutched the fabric, pulled him closer. He tilted my head back, changed the angle, kissed me until I couldn't breathe, until my whole body was burning, until I made a sound I'd never made before, something between a whimper and a moan that I would have been embarrassed about if I could think clearly enough to be embarrassed. His mouth moved to my jaw, my neck, the spot behind my ear that made my hips jerk forward without my permission. I was drowning, dissolving. I reached for him. He pulled back. I blinked, gasped, tried to remember how lungs worked. He was breathing hard too, his pupils blown wide, his hands still gripping my waist. I think, he said, voice rough, you should be paying me. I stared at him. You can't just... He smirked, stepped back. I watched him adjust himself, not even trying to hide it, before turning away and crossing to the other side of the kitchen. He poured whiskey from a decanter on the counter, downed it in one swallow. When he turned back, his expression was controlled again, mostly. What do you need $650,000 for, Kayla? The question landed in my chest, cold, sobering. What? The money. He set down the glass. Why that amount? Why are you this desperate? His eyes found mine across the kitchen. Are you sick? I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. What? No, I'm. The words tangled on my tongue. I'm sick? For you? The weakest smile, the worst deflection. His expression didn't change. Don't. He moved toward me, not touching, just close. I can give you the money. It's nothing to me. I'll make it back in a few hours. His voice was soft, almost gentle. But I need you to be honest with me. Why do you need $650,000? I hopped off the counter. You're boring. Grabbed my shoes from where I'd kicked them off, headed for the door. Kayla. I kept walking. Thanks for dinner, and I waved vaguely behind me, whatever that was. Kayla, stop. I didn't. I heard paper, a pen scratching against a surface. Here. His voice was closer now, right behind me. I turned. He was holding a check, holding it out like it was nothing, like he handed out life-changing amounts of money every day. Maybe he did. I walked back, took it, looked at the number. $650,000. His signature at the bottom, blue ink still wet, my vision blurred, not from my condition, from tears. Why? My voice cracked. Because you need it. He didn't move, didn't touch me, just stood there with those dark eyes that saw too much, and I want to know why. I looked at him, this man who'd caught me trying to trap him, who'd kissed me senseless in his kitchen, who'd just handed me enough money to save my life without asking for anything in return. I didn't deserve this, didn't deserve him. A tear slipped down my cheek. I wiped it away, took a step back. Goodbye, Franklin. I walked out before he could stop me. Through the gleaming kitchen, through the empty hallways, through the massive front door. The night air hit my face, cool, sobering. I didn't look back. The check crumpled in my fist. I walked into the darkness and disappeared from his life. Welcome back, Mafia romance lovers. Before we dive back into the tension, I have to stop and say thank you. We just officially passed 5,000 subscribers, and honestly, your support feels as life-changing as that $650,000 check. We're halfway to our goal of 10,000, so if you're enjoying Franklin and Kayla's journey, please hit that subscribe button. You're the reason I can keep bringing these breathless stories to life. I'd love to hear from you. Where in the world are you tuning in from, and what time is it there? Now, let's get back to the story.
2 weeks later. The contract had been sitting on my desk for 20 minutes, and I'd read the first paragraph 4 times without absorbing a single word. I picked up my phone and checked the screen. Nothing. Set it down, picked up the pen, signed the wrong line, threw the pen across the desk. My phone stayed dark on the corner. I checked it again anyway. Nothing. The door opened and Nico filled the frame. Big, quiet, watching me with that look I'd been getting from him for 3 days now. The one he thought I couldn't read. You want me to find her? No. Too fast. I heard it the second it left my mouth. Boss! I dropped the contract and leaned back, the leather groaning under me. I couldn't look at him, so I looked at the window instead. The city was gray and flat, and I hated every inch of it. Make sure she's safe. That's it. I don't want to see her. I don't want her number. I just need to know she didn't. I didn't finish. Nico nodded and left. I turned my chair toward the glass and watched the clouds drag themselves across the sky. She was probably somewhere warm right now, laughing, spending my money on shoes and champagne, and a life that had nothing to do with me. Good for her, I almost believed it. 3 days later, Nico came back, and his face was wrong. I've known this man for 15 years. I've watched him deliver news of ambushes, betrayals, bodies. I know what every version of Nico's face means, and this one. Jaw tight, eyes careful, folder held against his chest instead of tossed on the desk. This one I'd never seen before. You found her? Yes. He set the folder down but didn't open it. And? I kept my voice flat, bored, the voice I use in boardrooms when someone's trying to sell me garbage. Enjoying her vacation? New boyfriend already? She's in Switzerland. Switzerland. I smiled, thin and practiced. Nice. Skiing. She's at the Volker Neurovascular Institute. The smile died on my face. I felt it go, felt the muscles in my cheeks just stop working. What? It's a hospital, boss. Nico's voice had gone flat, the way it goes when he's delivering information he wishes he didn't have. Brain surgery. He opened the folder and slid it across the desk. Photographs, medical records, flight manifests, a paper trail of a woman running towards something, or away from everything. I looked at the first photograph, and my hand closed around the edge of the desk. She was in a hospital bed with her head shaved and bandages wrapped around her skull. Tubes running into her arm. Her skin was gray, her cheekbones jutting out sharp enough to cut, her eyes closed, her mouth slack. She was alone. No one in the chair beside her. No flowers. No cards. Just machines and white sheets and a woman who weighed maybe 100 pounds trying not to die in a country where nobody knew her name. What happened? Nico flipped to a page in the folder. Dense medical text, clinical language that took me a moment to process. Brainstem arteriovenous malformation. High-risk surgical intervention. Prognosis without treatment. 12 months. 12 months. She was dying. She was dying the whole time. She was dying in my kitchen when she cut my finger and put it in her mouth. She was dying in my car when she said, I figured I'm dying either way. And I let it go because I thought it was a joke. She was dying when she asked me for $650,000, and I made her feel cheap for asking. She wasn't selling herself. She was buying time. When was the surgery? 5 days ago. And she, no one's there, no family? Brother, 21, college. Nico's jaw flexed. He doesn't know. She didn't tell him, didn't tell anyone. Flew out the morning after she left your house and used your check to wire the surgical center in Zurich. I stared at the check stub clipped to the last page. My signature, my account, $650,000. She'd used every cent to save her own life, and she'd walked out of my kitchen, out of my front door, across an ocean, and into an operating room without telling a single person on Earth. I stood up. Get the jet ready. Nico was already at the door. Done. Switzerland. White corridors and fluorescent light. The smell of disinfectant so strong it burned the back of my throat. My shoes hit the linoleum in sharp, even beats. Nurses moved past me, but I didn't see them. Room numbers blurred by until I found the one I was looking for. Room 412. My hand was on the door handle, and it was shaking. I watched it shake and couldn't make it stop. She chose to do this alone. She walked away. She didn't call. I pushed the door open. She was sitting up in bed, turned toward the window, watching the Swiss Alps cut white shapes against a gray sky. The light fell across her face in pale stripes, bandages around her head, hospital gown hanging off her shoulders, dark circles bruising the skin under her eyes. The photograph had been generous. She'd lost weight she didn't have to lose. Her collarbones were sharp ridges under paper-thin skin, and her hands resting on the blanket were small and bony and still. But her chest was rising, falling, rising, alive. "Kayla!" She turned, and I lost it. I didn't mean to. I'd had 12 hours on the plane to rehearse this. Calm, controlled, ask about the surgery, ask about the prognosis, be the man she needs and not the man she left. None of that happened. For God's sake, Kayla. I crossed the room in 3 strides, my voice cracking, not caring. "What the hell is wrong with you?" She blinked at me, startled. "I looked everywhere, 2 weeks. I thought you were on a beach somewhere laughing, and this whole time you were here?" My hands were trembling. My chest was tight. My eyes were burning, and I couldn't, in a hospital bed, in another country, alone. Without telling anyone, without telling your brother, without... I stopped and pressed my palms flat against the bed rail, trying to breathe. Failed. "Are you okay?" Quieter now, barely holding together. "Did it work? What did the doctors say? Are you—" I reached for her hand. Her fingers were cold, and I wrapped mine around them and held on. She let me. But the way she was looking at me, polite, careful, distant, the way you look at someone who walked into the wrong room.
"I'm sorry," I said gently, because I was almost sure he had the wrong person. "Do I know you?" He laughed, short, broken. He ran a hand through his hair, looked at the ceiling, looked back at me. "Kayla." His voice was rougher this time. "Are you joking right now? You actually have the energy to mess with me?" I wished I was joking. I wished I could remember why this man was standing in my hospital room looking at me with his whole chest ripped open. "I'm sorry. I really don't remember you." I picked at the edge of my blanket, unable to meet his gaze. "Or anything from the past few weeks. The doctor said it's from the surgery, the swelling, and the location of the—" I stopped. He didn't need the medical lecture. "I'm sorry." The anger drained out of his face, the desperation too. What replaced them was worse. He looked stunned, just stood there staring at me, and the weight of whatever he was feeling filled the room until the air felt thick with it. "I'm sorry," I said again. The words felt useless, small. He pulled the chair from the corner, dragged it to my bedside, the legs scraped against the floor. He sat down. "What are you doing?" "I'm staying with you." His eyes found mine, held. "I'm not leaving you here alone." "And are you always this intense?" I asked the breathtaking stranger before me, partly because I felt some odd familiarity with his presence. A strange emotion crossed his face, pain or memory. "Only with you." "But I don't even know you. I know." His jaw tightened. "I know you don't." I studied him. The silver in his hair, the lines around his eyes. The way he sat, elbows on knees, leaning forward, watching me like I might disappear if he blinked. "Who are you?" I asked. "To me, I mean. What were we?" "It's a long story. I'm in a hospital bed. I've got nothing but time." He was quiet for a moment. Then the corner of his mouth pulled, not quite a smile. "My name is Franklin Caravelli. You spilled wine on me at a party." "Huh?" "Red wine, my suit, he gestured vaguely, everywhere. Then you invited me to your hotel room." Heat crept up my neck. Even without the memory, the embarrassment felt instinctive. You were very insistent it was for cleaning purposes. That almost smile again. You used the phrase completely non-sexual at least once. I pressed my palms against my burning cheeks. Please tell me you're making this up. I don't make things up. I wanted to ask more, wanted to understand why this man had flown across an ocean for a woman who threw wine on him. But my eyelids were heavy. The monitors beeped their steady rhythm. The adrenaline from his arrival was fading, leaving exhaustion in its wake. Rest, his voice was softer now. We'll talk more tomorrow. You're still staying? I told you. He leaned back in the chair, but his eyes never left my face. I'm not leaving you alone. I wanted to argue, but sleep was pulling me under, and the last thing I saw before the darkness took me was Franklin Caravelli, the stranger who knew me, settling into that uncomfortable chair like he planned to stay forever. I woke to voices in the hallway, one deep, clipped, the stranger from yesterday. The other made my chest seize. I knew that voice. I raised that voice. Josh walked in looking wrecked, ratty architecture hoodie with the frayed sleeves I'd been telling him to throw out for 2 years. Stubble he only grew during finals week or emotional collapse. Eyes already wet before he reached my bed. He didn't say anything, just crossed the room and wrapped himself around me so tight my ribs protested. I held on anyway. 2 months! His voice was muffled against my shoulder. You knew you were sick for 2 months. Josh, I talked to you last week. He pulled back. His eyes were red-rimmed, furious, devastated. You said you had a cold, Kayla. You said you were tired from work and you'd call me back on Sunday. My throat closed. You raised me. His voice cracked on the word. You dropped out of school so I could finish. You worked 3 jobs so I wouldn't have to take out loans. He stopped, swallowed, tried again. And you couldn't tell me they were cutting into your brain? I had nothing, no defense, no excuse that didn't sound hollow in my own ears. I didn't want you to worry. I'm your brother. He gripped my hand hard enough to hurt. I want to know when you are going through a hard time. You don't get to take that away from me. You don't get to just disappear into a hospital in Switzerland and not tell me. I know. Do you? Do you actually know? He was crying now, not bothering to hide it, because I got photos on my phone of you in this bed with your head shaved and tubes everywhere from a stranger. A stranger had to tell me my sister was dying. His eyes cut to the doorway. Franklin stood there, watching us with an expression I couldn't read. He told me, Josh said, sent me pictures because he knew I wouldn't believe him otherwise, and he was right. I almost blocked his number, thought it was a scam. His jaw worked. If he hadn't called, if he hadn't sent those photos, would you have ever said anything? Or would I have just gotten a call one day that you were gone? I couldn't answer, because I didn't know. Josh turned to Franklin. His shoulders were tight, his hands clenched at his sides, but when he spoke, his voice was steady. Thank you for bringing me here. The words sounded torn out of him. I don't know who you are or what you want, but thank you. Franklin nodded once, brief, acknowledging. Then he stepped forward, Nico appearing behind him. Same suit from yesterday, same unreadable face, but this time he was carrying a tablet and a folder, and something in my stomach turned cold. We need to discuss your recovery. Franklin's voice was flat, professional. And your debt. What debt? He took the tablet from Nico, pulled up a video file. The screen showed a restaurant, candlelit, intimate. 2 figures at a table, me and him. He pressed play. I watched myself lean forward across the table. My face was thinner. My hair was longer. My eyes were desperate in a way that made my skin crawl. And then I heard my own voice. I'll sleep with you. For $650,000, the room tilted. I'm a virgin. Doesn't that add value or something? The blood drained from my face. My hands went numb. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, too fast, too loud. Josh grabbed the tablet out of Franklin's hands, watched. His expression cycled through confusion, horror, fury, each one landing harder than the last. What the hell? Josh, I don't remember. You propositioned him. He was staring at me now. At me, not the screen. You offered to, for money. Kayla, what the fuck? I don't remember. My voice shook. I felt the tears stream down my face. I didn't have any other options, Josh. I don't remember any of it. I don't remember him. I don't remember the restaurant. I don't remember. But you did it. Josh's hand was shaking. The tablet trembled in his grip. That's you. That's your voice. And I wasn't even there for you. Franklin pulled out a folder, opened it, placed bank records on my bed with the precision of a man laying down cards. $650,000. His voice was cool, detached. Transferred from my personal account to Volker Neurovascular Institute, 3 days before your surgery. I stared at the numbers, my name, his name, the amount. You came to me with an offer. He stepped closer. Your virginity for $650,000, though I didn't know why you needed that much money. You took my money anyway and vanished across an ocean. Josh was pacing now. 3 steps one way, 3 steps back, vibrating with a rage that had nowhere to go. So what? You're here to collect? She just had brain surgery. She doesn't even remember you. You can't seriously expect her to... I'm here to ensure my investment recovers properly. Franklin's eyes hadn't left my face, not once. She'll be staying at a residence I've arranged. Private staff, medical team on call, everything she needs to heal. She's not going anywhere with you. Then I'll pursue the debt through legal channels. Franklin's voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. I have footage of her soliciting me, records of her accepting my money under false pretenses, evidence that could complicate her life, and yours, considerably. The threat landed. Josh stopped pacing. You are blackmailing a sick woman. This is business. Franklin tilted his head, studying me. You offered yourself to me, Kayla. I'm simply waiting until you're well enough to deliver. The words hit my chest and stayed there, cold, heavy. Josh stepped between us, shoulders squared, fists clenched, 21 years old and trying to protect me from a man who could destroy us both without breaking a sweat. I'll pay you back, every cent. You're a student. I'll drop out, I'll work, I'll figure something out. You'll do no such thing, my voice cracked. You'll go back to school, and I will take care of my mess myself. Josh froze. The room went still. Nico told me on the plane, he said quietly, not looking at Franklin anymore. Looking at me. He's with the Mafia, Kay. I will not leave you with a man that dangerous. I glanced at Franklin. He didn't react, didn't deny it, just stood there with his hands in his pockets, watching us figure out exactly how trapped we were. We can't fight him. I forced the words out. Each one cost something. I just had brain surgery. You're finishing your degree. We have nothing. No money, no connections, no... So you just go? Josh's voice broke. Live in his house? Eat his food? Wait for him to decide you're healthy enough to... He said he'll wait until I'm healthy. I made myself meet Franklin's eyes, made myself hold his gaze even though something in my chest wanted to look away. That's enough time to figure something out. Time to what, Kayla? Hope he changes his mind? Hope he forgets? I don't know. The words tore out of me louder than I intended. I don't know, Josh. I don't remember making that offer. I don't remember taking his money. I don't remember any of it. But apparently I did, and now I owe him $650,000 or my body, and I don't know how to fix it, okay? I don't know. Josh stared at me, his jaw tight, his eyes wet again. Then he shook his head. Fine. If you're going, I'm coming with you. Josh, your classes can be done online. His grip on my hand tightened. You're not doing this alone. Not anymore. You spent 7 years doing everything alone, and look where it got you. Dying in a Swiss hospital with a stranger holding your debt. I'm done watching from the sidelines. Wherever he puts you, I'm there too. I wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him to go back to school, finish his degree, live his life. But I was so tired, and my head hurt. And the man standing by the door held my future in his hands, and I didn't even remember giving it to him. Okay. Josh exhaled, nodded. Franklin moved toward the door, stopped with his hand on the frame. Discharges tomorrow morning, afternoon, be ready. He left. Nico followed, collecting the tablet and folder with efficient hands. The door clicked shut. Josh sank into the chair beside my bed, dropped his head into his hands. I'm sorry you had to go through this alone. His voice was muffled. I hate myself for it. I looked at the space where the tablet had been, pictured my own face frozen on the screen, my mouth forming words I couldn't remember speaking, my eyes desperate with a fear I couldn't recall feeling. I'll sleep with you for $650,000. I remembered being desperate, remembered the diagnosis, the insurance denial, the walls closing in, remembered lying awake calculating how many years of savings I'd need for a surgery I couldn't afford. But I didn't remember him. Didn't remember walking into that restaurant, sitting across from that man, opening my mouth and offering myself up like a transaction. The desperation I understood. The specifics were gone, erased, stolen, locked somewhere my brain couldn't reach. I remember being scared, I said finally. I remember needing the money. But him, that dinner, what I said? I shook my head. It's just blank. Josh lifted his head. His eyes met mine. Then I guess we're both going to find out who he is to you. The villa was so beautiful, I hated it immediately. Franklin walked me upstairs, opened a door, and stepped aside. Fresh sheets, soft lighting, a view of Zurich spreading out beneath the window. This is yours. Dinner's in an hour. He was gone before I could respond. Josh appeared in the hallway a moment later, carrying both our bags. He looked around the room, then at me. Cozy? It's a cage with a city view. He dropped his bag in the room across from mine. Could be worse. So, Josh pointed his fork at Nico. How long have you worked for him? Candles flickered between us. Crystal glasses caught the light. Franklin sat at the head of the table, phone in hand, barely acknowledging our existence. 15 years, Nico said. 15 years, Josh whistled low. And you're still alive, intact, emotionally functional? Debatable. I almost choked on my water. Nico's face didn't move, but something in his eyes flickered. Okay, I respect that. Josh leaned back in his chair. So what's the job? Bodyguard? Fixer? Professional intimidator? Operations manager. Operations manager. Josh looked at Franklin, then back at Nico. That's corporate speak for I know where the bodies are buried, right? I prefer logistical oversight. Sure. Very LinkedIn of you. Franklin's fork paused midair. He still hadn't looked up, but I could see the tension climbing his shoulders. Josh wasn't done. So 15 years of this, the brooding, the monosyllables, the whole I own everything, including your sister energy, you get used to it. Do you? Because I've been here 3 hours and I already want to throw something at his head. I'd advise against it. Would he kill me? No, Nico's mouth twitched. But he'd make you regret it. See that I believe. The tension in the room loosened, just a little. He's not always like this, Nico said, carefully. No, Nico glanced at Franklin, then back at Josh. This is him. Invested. Josh snorted. Is that what we're calling hostage-taking now? I'm calling it what it is. Nico's voice dropped. 15 years. Never seen him buy a house for someone. Never seen him fly a stranger's brother across an ocean. Never seen him... Nico! Franklin's voice cut through the room. Cold. Nico stopped, but his eyes flicked to me, just for a second. Josh caught it. Never seen him what? Care? Is that the word we're dancing around? Big scary mafia boss has feelings? I don't have feelings. Franklin set down his fork. Your sister is an investment to me. Right? Josh picked up his wine glass. And I'm just here for the free pasta. The pasta is exceptional, Nico offered. It really is. Josh took a bite, chewed thoughtfully. Your chef's single? Asking for my sister. She needs better options. Franklin's head snapped up. Josh grinned. Innocent. What? I'm being helpful. I kicked him under the table. He didn't flinch. Joshua, Kayla, stop. Stop what? I'm networking, making connections, building bridges with your captor staff. I shoved a piece of bread in my mouth to keep from strangling my brother. Too fast, too big. It lodged in my windpipe, somewhere it shouldn't be, triggering an immediate coughing fit. I felt a choking sensation and a burning pain in the chest as my body tried to eject the bread. Franklin moved, faster than I'd ever seen anyone move, around the table, behind me. His hands found my ribs, pulled me up and against him. One sharp thrust, two. The obstruction cleared. I gasped, coughed, dragged air into my lungs. He didn't let go. His hands were still on me. His chest pressed against my back. His breathing ragged, more ragged than mine. I'm fine. You're not fine, you almost... He stopped, realized how close he was, realized everyone was staring. He stepped back, ran a hand over his face. When he spoke again, his voice was flat. Chew your food properly. He walked out. Josh stared after him. Did he just... panic? Nico picked up his whiskey, took a slow sip. I've known him 15 years, never seen him move that fast. My ribs remembered his hands long after he was gone. The next morning, I found peonies on my nightstand, pink and white, fresh, arranged in a crystal vase I hadn't seen before. I found Josh in the kitchen, stealing bacon off Nico's plate. Did you order flowers? What? No, he looked up. Why would I order flowers? Someone put peonies in my room. Josh and Nico exchanged a glance. Peonies, Nico repeated, neutral. Our mother used to grow them. I mentioned it yesterday, to you. I looked at Josh. Just offhand, I stopped. Franklin was in the doorway, coffee in hand, face blank. Problem? No, I forced my voice steady. No problem. He nodded once, left. Josh waited until his footsteps faded. So, he said slowly, the man who claims you're just an investment is sending you your favorite flowers. Days passed. I watched him without seeming to. Noticed the way my medical appointments shifted whenever I seemed tired. Rescheduled without explanation, without anyone asking. Noticed the way food I mentioned craving appeared in the kitchen the next day. Noticed the way he tracked me across rooms, his attention a weight I could feel even when he wasn't looking directly at me. I caught fragments of his phone calls. Is she eating enough? And what did Volker say about her sleep patterns? And once, late at night, I don't care what it costs, get it done. He never said any of it to me. I was on the back patio when I heard them. You're cheating, Josh's voice outraged. I'm winning. Nico flat. Same energy. I looked up from my book. They were on the basketball court, a half-court tucked behind the garden that I hadn't noticed before. Josh was dripping sweat, hands on his knees. Nico looked like he'd barely moved. Best of 7. We've played 9 games. You've lost all of them. I'm studying your technique. My technique is being better than you. Humble, too. Josh grabbed the ball, tried a shot. It bounced off the rim. Okay, but seriously, how long have you actually known him? Franklin. Not worked for him. Known him. Nico caught the rebound, held the ball instead of shooting. 15 years. He was 27 when I started. Different then. Different how? Softer, more open. Nico's voice was careful. Before Elena, I went very still. Elena? His wife. Nico took a shot. Perfect swish. Ex-wife, it's not my story to tell. But it's the reason he's like this. Cold, controlled, all the walls. Nico retrieved the ball, looked at Josh for a long moment. When someone breaks you badly enough, you learn not to let anyone close enough to do it again. He passed the ball to Josh. Your shot. Josh took it, missed again. But he wasn't looking at the hoop anymore. He was looking at me. I dropped my eyes back to my book. My heart was pounding. Elena. I came downstairs to find Josh and Nico crouched over something golden and squirming in the living room. A puppy, all ears and paws and absurd amounts of fur. What is that? Your new roommate. Nico nodded toward the kitchen. Boss's orders. Franklin appeared in the doorway, hands shoved in his pockets, not meeting my eyes. You seemed lonely. So you bought me a dog? He needed a home. You need company. You can't just buy me things. I can do whatever I want. But there was no edge in it. The puppy bounded toward me, licked my face before I could react. Despite everything, the cage, the confusion, the man watching me, I laughed. Josh leaned toward Nico. Did he just do something nice? Don't get used to it. Too late, I'm telling everyone. Franklin Caravelli buys puppies for girls he kidnaps. Very wholesome. Franklin's jaw tightened, but he didn't respond. What's his name? I asked, the puppy squirming in my arms. Your choice. Biscuit. I buried my face in his fur. His name is Biscuit. Franklin's expression flickered, almost soft. Then he straightened. The mask slid back. I have business. I'll be away for 3 weeks, possibly longer. I looked up. Something in my chest tightened. You're leaving? Nico will be here. Josh, too. You have everything you need. He was already moving toward the door. Franklin. He stopped, didn't turn. Thank you for the dog. His shoulders shifted, barely visible. Don't let him chew the furniture. That night, I couldn't sleep. Biscuit was curled at my feet, warm and solid. The city lights blurred through the window. My body kept drifting, in and out, never quite landing. Footsteps in the hallway. My door opened, soft, careful. I kept my eyes closed, breathing even. He was in the room. I could feel him standing over me. The weight of his attention pressed against my skin. The mattress dipped as he sat on the edge of the bed. His hand brushed my hair back from my face. Gentle. So gentle it made my chest ache. Then he leaned down. His lips pressed against my forehead. Soft. Brief. Gone before I could react. The mattress lifted. His footsteps retreated. But they didn't go far. Through my half-closed eyes, I saw him step onto the balcony. Phone pressed to his ear. I don't care what the schedule says. If she seems tired, you push the appointment. He paced. No, I'm not overreacting. She almost choked at dinner. Her reflexes are still compromised. His voice hardened. Yes, I'm aware that's normal post-surgery. I'm also aware that normal doesn't mean acceptable. Monitor her, everything. Sleep patterns, appetite, energy levels. I want daily reports. He stopped pacing. His voice dropped. She's not just another patient, Elise. She's mine, whether she knows it or not. He hung up, stood there in the dark, shoulders tight. I closed my eyes before he turned around. The next morning, his chair was empty. Nico set a cup of coffee in front of me, black the way I took it. He left instructions, he said, very detailed, bordering on obsessive. I wrapped my hands around the mug. Shocker. But I wasn't thinking about his instructions. I was thinking about his voice, in the dark, his lips on my forehead. The way he'd said mine, possessive, desperate, certain. 3 weeks without Franklin Caravelli. I noticed his absence in ways I refused to examine. The chair at the head of the dining table that stayed empty. The study door that remained closed. The whiskey glass that never appeared on the kitchen counter at midnight. You're moping. I'm not. Josh didn't look up from his cereal. You've been staring at his chair for 10 minutes. I'm thinking, about what? Mind your business, Josh. Josh raised an eyebrow, said nothing. Things kept arriving. A cashmere blanket on my bed the day after I mentioned being cold. A rare architecture book that shut Josh up for an hour. Even Biscuit got an upgrade. That night, I pulled the cashmere blanket over my shoulders. I told myself I was just cold. By day 21. Josh was at a basketball league game. The staff had the evening off. Biscuit was napping in his new bed. The house was empty. The pool was heated. I stripped down to my underwear, practical cotton, nothing fancy, and slid into the water. The heat wrapped around me. I floated on my back, watching the sky shift from gold to purple, stars pricking through. My muscles loosened for the first time in days. Then I heard footsteps. My eyes flew open. Franklin stood at the pool's edge, jacket off, sleeves rolled, tie loosened, stubble on his jaw, shadows under his eyes. He looked rumpled in a way I'd never seen, and he was staring at me with an intensity that made my stomach flip. Nico had been following closely behind him, but immediately turned around the moment he registered me in the water. Out! Franklin's voice cut through the evening air. Nico, now! Nico vanished. Franklin didn't move. His eyes traveled over me, slowly, deliberately, taking inventory. I forced myself not to sink lower. You're back, obviously. You could have warned me. Would you have put on more clothes? Heat crept up my neck. That's not the point. Then what is? I didn't have an answer. Not when I was willing to say out loud. He crouched at the edge, extended a hand. Get out. No, Kayla, I'm comfortable. You're half naked in my pool. Your pool? I pushed back, treading water, putting distance between us. Get out of the water, Kayla. I'm not finished. Kayla. Franklin. His jaw tightened. Then he shrugged off his watch, set it on the tile, and stepped into the pool, shoes and all. What are you doing? If you won't come out, I'm coming in. Franklin. What the? Are you insane? Probably. He waded toward me. Water climbed his trousers, darkened his shirt. I backed up until my shoulders hit the wall, but he didn't stop. You're ruining your suit, and you could have at least removed your shoes. I don't care about the shoes, Kayla. He stopped, inches away, close enough that I could see water droplets on his jaw and the pulse jumping in his throat, the way his chest heaved beneath the soaked fabric. Then what do you care about? His hands found my waist beneath the water, and he pulled me toward him, closing the distance between us, his arms wrapped around me. Then his face pressed into my neck, breath hot against my throat, breathing me in, deep and shuddering, his whole body trembling slightly against mine. I stood frozen, the water lapping around us. His soaked shirt was cold against my bare skin. He just held me, tight, desperate, his fingers digging into my back. My heart slammed against my ribs. My hands came up, slowly, uncertain, and settled on his shoulders. I felt the tension in his muscles, the way he exhaled when I touched him, ragged and relieved, melting into the hug. We stood there, seconds stretching, the sky darkened above us, his heart pounding against my chest, or maybe that was mine. I couldn't tell anymore. His thumb traced a circle against my hip bone. His lips moved against my neck. So quiet I almost missed it. I missed you. The words rasped out of him. Every goddamn day, I missed you. I shoved him back. He stumbled, water splashing. His eyes flew open, startled, wounded. Ugh. I forced a laugh, too loud, too shaky. You're being dramatic. Kayla! I climbed out, grabbed the nearest towel, wrapped it around myself without looking at him. You could have called. My voice came out steadier than I felt. 3 weeks, Franklin. Not a single call. I didn't trust myself to call. I turned. He was still standing in the pool, water dripping from his jaw, his shirt clinging to his chest. Why? Because I would have come back early, and I needed you to get stronger before I did something I'd regret. I turned my back to him. You can't disappear for 3 weeks and then show up and say you missed me. Look at me. No, Kayla. I heard him climbing out, water hitting the tile. I had a plan. His voice was rough, closer now. A month or 2 of distance to get my head straight, and to let you fully recover because I kept having these thoughts of the things I want to do to you, and I'm not a good man, Kay. He ran a hand through his hair with a sigh. But here I am only after 3 weeks because I miss you, and then Nico mentioned you seemed sad, and I was in a car heading here. So maybe I was just looking for an excuse to hold you and be close to you. I didn't know what to say. My skin was cold where the night air hit the water droplets. My chest was tight. Go inside, you'll catch a cold. That's your response? I don't have a better one. He stared at me, water dripping from his jaw, his shirt plastered to his chest. Have dinner with me tomorrow, just you, me. Is that a request or an order? It's whatever gets you to show up. He walked past me toward the house, leaving a trail of water on the stone. I watched him go. Then I turned and walked in the opposite direction. Halfway up the stairs to my room, I stopped, gripped the railing. My heart was still racing, and I realized, with horrifying clarity, that I wasn't angry he touched me. I was angry he stopped. Breakfast was a minefield. I kept my eyes on my toast, on my coffee, on the window, on anything that wasn't the man sitting across from me, eating eggs and reading something on his phone as if yesterday hadn't happened, as if he hadn't held me in a pool, trembled against me, whispered that he missed me. You need clothes. I looked up. He was watching me now, phone set aside. I have clothes. You have clothes that Josh bought at a discount store. He sipped his coffee. Today we'll fix that. Besides, being trapped in this house isn't healthy either. He set down his cup. Aren't you tired of the same walls? I was. Tired of the house, tired of the routine, tired of the way my face went hot every time I walked past the pool. Fine. Enthusiasm appreciated. Don't push it. The boutique didn't have price tags. That was the first thing I noticed. Racks of silk and cashmere and fabrics I couldn't name, all displayed under soft lighting with absolutely no indication of what anything cost. I walked in feeling underdressed in jeans and a sweater Josh had grabbed from a clearance bin. Franklin moved through the space with the ease of someone who belonged everywhere, nodding at staff, gesturing vaguely at sections, speaking in low tones to a woman in all black who kept glancing at me and nodding. Champagne appeared. I didn't remember anyone offering it. Racks materialized beside the fitting rooms. Dozens of options I hadn't chosen. This is too much. Try it. Franklin settled into a chair near the mirrors, crossed his ankle over his knee. You might enjoy it. I don't enjoy charity. It's not charity. It's investment maintenance. Did you just call me maintenance? Would you prefer asset upkeep? I would prefer you stop, but I was almost smiling, and he saw it. The corner of his mouth twitched before he looked away. The first dress was cream silk. Simple, elegant, wrong. I emerged from the fitting room feeling exposed. The fabric clung in places I wasn't used to being clung to. That works. It's fine. Try the green. I tried the green. When I walked out, his jaw tightened. His eyes tracked down my body and back up slower than necessary. What? Nothing. You're staring. You look good. Simple. Direct. No embellishment. The green suits you. Heat crept up my neck. I retreated to the fitting room faster than necessary. The navy was next. Structured, professional, the kind of dress I would have worn to important meetings back when I had a job and a life and a future that extended beyond surviving. I stepped out and caught my reflection in the three-way mirror before I looked at Franklin and stopped. The woman in the mirror wasn't the one I'd seen in hospital bathroom reflections for weeks. Wasn't the hollow-eyed, thin-faced stranger with patchy hair growing back in uneven tufts. This woman had color in her cheeks, shape in her body, and life behind her eyes. I looked like myself, the self I'd been before the diagnosis. Kayla? I blinked. Franklin was watching me with an expression I couldn't read. Sorry, I shook my head. I haven't looked like this in a while. He didn't say anything, but something in his posture shifted, a softening I almost missed. The navy works, he said finally. Try the black dress. The black was dangerous. low neckline, fitted through the waist, a slit up the thigh that made me feel like someone else entirely. I walked out and Franklin's hand tightened on the armrest of his chair. He didn't speak for a long moment. That one's fine. Fine. I turned to check the back in the mirror. You sure? You look like you're in pain. I'm not in pain. Your jaw is doing that thing. What thing? That clenching thing when you're trying not to say something. His eyes met mine in the mirror, dark and tense. The dress is fine, Kayla. Move on. I moved on, but I watched him in the mirror as I walked back to the fitting room, watched his hand flex on the armrest, watched him take a breath that seemed to cost him some willpower. Good. The pattern continued, dress after dress. He watched. His comments were always specific, never empty flattery. That cut is wrong for your shoulders. The blue makes your eyes sharper. Stop fidgeting. His voice dropped. You look beautiful when you stand still. The red dress was a problem, floor-length silk, dramatic neckline, a neckline that plunged to somewhere almost inappropriate, and a zipper I couldn't reach no matter how I contorted. Hello? I called through the curtain. I need help with the zipper. The curtain parted, not the saleswoman, Franklin. He stopped in the doorway, eyes on the bare skin of my back in the mirror. His hand gripped the curtain's edge. I can get someone else. Just do it. The words came out before I could stop them, before I could think about what I was inviting. He stepped inside. The fitting room shrank to nothing, just mirrors and silk and the heat of him behind me. His fingers found the zipper at the base of my spine, started pulling it up, slowly. His knuckles brushed each vertebra as he went, trailing fire at my back. Then his hand flattened against the base of my neck. Warm, solid. I leaned back. I didn't mean to. My body moved without permission, pressing into his palm, closing the inch of space between us. He didn't step away. His hand slid up, over my shoulder, along my neck. His fingers traced my collarbone feather light, while his chest pressed against my back. I could feel his heartbeat, fast, despite the control in his expression. Kayla, you're making this very difficult. I could feel the effect I had on him, pressed against my lower back, unmistakable. I teased, feigning ignorance. His breath was hot against my ear. His thumb traced my pulse point, feeling it race, knowing exactly what he was doing to me. You have no idea what you are starting, Kayla. His hand slid down my arm, leaving goosebumps in its wake. In the mirror, I watched his eyes drop to my mouth, watched his fingers curl around my hip. Then he stepped back, out of the fitting room, curtain falling closed behind him. I stood there, heart pounding, skin burning everywhere he'd touched. The red dress suddenly felt like too much and not enough at the same time. When I emerged 5 minutes later, changed back into my jeans, hands still unsteady, he was on his phone, face neutral, posture relaxed, as if nothing had happened. We'll take everything she tried. He didn't look at me when he said it. The car ride was suffocating. Zurich blurred past the windows. His driver navigated traffic while we sat in the back, a foot of leather seat between us that felt like a canyon or a tripwire. I stared out the window, counted streetlights, tried not to think about his hands on my spine. How was your business trip? The question came out before I could stop it. Stupid, mundane, a desperate grasp at normalcy. Productive, that's it. 3 weeks and all you've got is productive. What do you want me to say? I don't know, something, anything. I was still looking out the window. You were gone for 3 weeks. You must have done something besides sit in meetings. I handled some complications in Chicago. What kind of complications? The kind you don't need to worry about. Right. I felt him shift beside me. When I glanced over, his hand was resting on the seat between us, close to my thigh. About the fitting room, I started. Nothing happened. I turned to stare at him. What? I helped you with the zipper. His voice was flat, final. That's all. That's all. I was what? He finally looked at me. His expression was shuttered, controlled, but his hand on the seat had curled into a fist. Helping a woman who couldn't reach her own back, being useful? You know that's not. We're here. The car pulled through the gates. I wanted to grab him by his collar and demand he stop pretending, demand he acknowledge what was happening between us. But then I saw the backyard. Josh was standing at a massive grill, wearing an apron that said "Kiss the Cook" in aggressive letters. Nico was beside him, arms crossed, watching Josh flip something with the skepticism of a man who had seen too much. There was enough food spread across the patio table to feed a small army. What is happening? Josh spotted us, waved a spatula. Barbecue, get over here. I've been slaving over this grill for an hour and you're going to eat it and you're going to like it. Franklin stepped out of the car. I followed. Nico's eyes tracked from him to me, took in my flushed face, Franklin's rigid posture, the careful distance we were keeping. His eyebrow lifted, just slightly. Good shopping trip? Fine, Franklin said shortly. Productive, I added. Nico's mouth twitched. He didn't say anything else. Didn't need to. I looked at Franklin. He was looking at me. Whatever had almost happened in that fitting room, we were both pretending it hadn't. His face gave nothing away. His posture was controlled, calm, but his hand was clenched at his side, knuckles white, and my pulse hadn't slowed since he touched me. Josh's voice cut through the tension. Kayla, Franklin, stop being weird and get over here. Nico bet me $20 I'd burn the burgers and I need witnesses when I prove him wrong. Franklin turned toward the backyard, paused. Coming? His voice was neutral, his eyes were not. I grabbed the door handle of the car, realized I was already outside it, let my hand drop. Wouldn't miss it. Josh's burgers were terrible, overcooked, charred on the outside, questionable on the inside. He served them with the pride of a man who had never once questioned his own abilities. These are incredible, he announced, taking a massive bite. I'm a genius. You're a health hazard, Nico said, but he was eating his second one. I picked at mine, too aware of Franklin standing apart from the group. He'd rolled his sleeves up, glass of whiskey in hand, looking deeply uncomfortable with the casual atmosphere. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen. His jaw tightened. Problem, boss? Nico asked. Nothing that can't wait. Franklin pocketed the phone, but his shoulders stayed tense. For now, family dinner. Josh waved his spatula at the spread, oblivious. Grilled meat, fresh air. I'm providing wellness, people. You're providing salmonella, I muttered. Rude. He pointed the spatula at me. Drink your wine and be grateful. I was on my second glass. Dr. Muller had said 1 was fine, 2 was probably pushing it. But the wine was good and the evening air was warm, and for the first time in weeks, the tension in my shoulders was starting to loosen. Franklin caught my eye across the patio, looked away, and I took another sip of wine. Josh was 3 beers in when the glint appeared in his eyes. I knew that glint. That glint had gotten us both grounded for a month when we were teenagers. That glint preceded bad decisions. We should play a game. We're adults, Franklin said. Adults who are awkward as hell around each other. Trust me, this helps. Josh turned to me. Truth or dare? Josh, it's a simple question. Truth or dare? I glanced at Franklin. He was watching us with the expression of a man who had stepped into a situation he didn't understand and wasn't sure he wanted to. Truth. Boring, but I'll allow it. Josh leaned back. Most embarrassing thing that happened to you in high school. I tripped walking across the stage at graduation in front of the entire school. The video got posted online. Nico's mouth twitched. Okay, Nico, truth or dare? Dare. 20 push-ups now. Nico dropped to the ground and completed 20 perfect push-ups without changing his breathing. Stood back up, sat down. Show off, Josh muttered. Franklin, Josh turned to him. Truth or dare? I'm not playing. You're sitting in the play zone. Truth or dare? Franklin's jaw tightened. Truth. Have you ever been in love? The question landed heavily. I watched something flicker behind Franklin's eyes before he shut it down. Yes. What happened? That's 2 questions. Fine, Josh's eyes slid to me. Kayla, truth or dare? I already went. New round. Truth or dare? The glint was back, sharper. Dare, Josh grinned. Sit on his lap. He jerked his chin toward Franklin. For the rest of the game, my stomach dropped. You're selling me out. I'm making things interesting. Josh, a dare's a dare. I looked at Franklin. He hadn't moved. His hand had tightened around his whiskey glass. You don't have to, he said quietly. I'm not backing down from a dare. I stood, crossed the patio, turned around, then I sat. I perched at the edge of his knee, keeping as much distance as possible. My back was rigid, my hands in my lap. His hand found my hip, adjusted my position, pulled me back against his chest. That's when I felt it. Hard, unmistakable. I tried to stand, his grip tightened. What? His voice was low, right against my ear. Scared? His thumb traced a small circle on my hip. My heart hammered. Josh was watching with barely concealed delight. Nico had developed a sudden fascination with his whiskey. The game continued. Josh asked Nico something. Nico gave a non-answer. I wasn't listening. I was too aware of Franklin's breath stirring my hair, his hand on my hip. Then Josh stood, swayed. I'm gonna bathroom, maybe bed. Nico rose, took Josh's arm. I'll make sure he doesn't fall down the stairs. They disappeared inside. The patio was empty. String lights cast shadows across the stone. Franklin's hand was still on my hip. Are you scared, Kayla? His voice was rough. You never answered? No. I turned, faced him. Our mouths were inches apart. Prove it. I grabbed his jaw and pressed my mouth to his and felt him freeze for half a second. Then his control was gone. His hands were in my hair, on my back, pulling me closer until I was straddling him, knees on either side of his hips. The kiss was weeks of tension breaking open. He stood without breaking the kiss. Lifted me with him, my legs wrapped around his waist. Upstairs, he said against my mouth. Now. He carried me inside, up the stairs, kicked open a door, his bedroom, dark walls, minimal furniture, city lights casting silver streaks across the floor. He set me down on the mattress, followed me onto it. His mouth found my neck, my collarbone, the hollow of my throat. Kayla, I want this. His hands found the hem of my blouse, pulled it over my head. He looked at me, really looked, his eyes tracking over my bare skin, the scar on my chest from the foreline. His mouth was on my stomach, my ribs, tracing upward. I arched into him, reached for his shirt, helped him pull it off. His skin was warm, a scar ran along his shoulder, old, faded. He stopped, pulled back, sat up, ran his hands over his face. I stared at him, half undressed, breathing hard. What? I can't. I know, he wouldn't look at me. But I can't. I grabbed my blouse, held it against my chest. Is it me? Is it because I took your money, or because I look too sickly, because I can't remember? It's not you. Then what? I was shaking now, from fury. You keep doing this, the pool, the fitting room. Now, you start something and then you just stop, and I don't understand. You think I don't want you? He finally looked at me. His expression was raw. I wanted you in that hospital bed, with bandages and tubes and half your head shaved. I wanted you, and I hated myself for it. Wanting you has never been the problem, Kayla. Then what is? I don't know how to explain. It's complicated. That's not an answer. He ran his hands through his hair, frustrated, wrecked. You just had brain surgery. You don't remember me. You don't remember and I'm trying to do this right, and I don't. Do what right? What are you even talking about? He opened his mouth, closed it. I stood up, grabbed my jeans from the floor. Forget it, Kayla. No, I'm done. I was pulling on my clothes, hands shaking with anger. I'm done being confused. I'm done being pushed away. If you don't want me, just say it instead of making me feel like there's something wrong with me every time Kayla, listen to me. His phone rang. We both froze. He looked at the screen. His expression went cold. I have to take this. Now? Are you kidding me? He answered, listened, his jaw tightened. When? Flat, controlled. How many? A longer pause. I'm on my way. He hung up, stood, pulled on his shirt. I have to go, Chicago. You're leaving? In the middle of? People could die if I don't handle this. He grabbed his jacket, stopped at the door. 48 hours. I'll explain everything when I get back. You always say that. This time I mean it. He stared at me, something desperate in his eyes. Then he left. The front door slammed. Engine, tires on gravel. Gone. I sat in his bed, his sheets, his room. Biscuit appeared in the doorway, padded across the room, jumped onto the bed and pressed his warm body against my side. Yeah, I told him. I don't understand either. I pulled the sheets around myself, stared at the ceiling. I hadn't slept. Dawnlight crept through the kitchen windows, pale and accusing. I sat at the table with a cup of coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. Josh appeared in the doorway, hungover, hair sticking up at odd angles. He squinted at me. Something happened after I left. Did he hurt you? No. Then why do you look like that? He shuffled to the coffee maker, poured himself a cup, sat across from me. Like what? Like someone ran you over and then backed up to do it again. I laughed. It came out bitter and wrong. The opposite, actually. He started things and then he just stopped again. Josh studied me over the rim of his mug, his expression going from concern to understanding. Nico told me something last week. Nico talks a lot. Basketball bonding. Josh shrugged. The man opens up when he's winning. I almost smiled at that. almost. 7 years ago, Franklin was married. Josh set down his mug. Elena, according to Nico, he was stupidly in love with her, and then someone tried to kill him. My stomach dropped. Kill him? Assassination attempt. He was in a coma for 2 months. Josh's voice was careful now, picking through the words. When he woke up, she was gone, emptied his accounts, stolen company information, run off with his business partner. I stared at him. She visited him once, while he was unconscious. Josh's jaw tightened, took the watch off his wrist and sold it. The image landed in my chest. Franklin lying in a hospital bed, tubes and machines, unconscious and helpless. The woman he loved standing over him, ripping him off. That's messed up. Yeah, Josh leaned forward. He hasn't been with anyone since, 7 years, nothing. And then you showed up. I wrapped my hands around the cold mug. My mind was racing. You're saying he stopped because he doesn't know how to want someone without being terrified they'll destroy him. Josh shrugged. Or because you just had brain surgery and he's trying to be decent about it. Either way, it's not because he doesn't care about you. He could have just said that. He tried, Kay. Josh's voice softened. You didn't exactly let him finish. I was quiet. He was right. I'd pushed. I'd yelled. I'd tried to leave before. He could explain. He bought this house for you, Josh said. Demands daily reports to check if you're eating. Flew me across an ocean because you were sick. He reached across the table and took my hand. The man is clearly gone for you. He just has no idea how to show it without making it weird. So what do? Talk to him. When he gets back, Josh squeezed my hand. Actually talk and... Listen. 2 days passed. No word from Franklin. I checked my phone constantly. Nothing. Sent one text, "Are you okay?" and watched it sit on delivered for hours. Nico wouldn't tell me anything. He'll be back when he's back, was all I got, delivered with the kind of blank expression that made me want to throw something. I was in the bathtub when my phone rang. Unknown number. Chicago area code. Hello? Is this Kayla Xuān? Who's asking? My name is Dr. Martinez. I'm calling from Rush University Medical Center in Chicago. My blood went cold. The water suddenly felt like ice. Franklin Caravelli was brought in 3 hours ago. He listed you as his emergency contact. What happened? Gunshot wound to the shoulder. He's in surgery now. The procedure is... Gunshot? I was standing before I realized I'd moved, water sloshing over the edge of the tub, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. The bullet missed the artery. He's stable, but I'm coming. I'll be there. I hung up. He was shot. Franklin was shot. He could be dying in a hospital bed in Chicago, and the last thing I did was let him walk away. I moved to climb out of the tub. My foot slipped on the wet porcelain. My hand shot out, grabbed the safety bar on the wall. My body jerked to a stop, momentum arrested, heart slamming against my ribs, and then the bathroom tilted. No, not the bathroom. My vision, my head. I was falling again, not here, not now, but somewhere else. Somewhere with candlelight and white tablecloths and a man's voice cutting through the roar in my ears. I gripped the bar tighter, the cold metal bit into my palm. A restaurant, the room spinning around me, my legs buckling, candlelight going sideways as the floor rushed up to meet me. And then arms, his arms, catching me before I hit the ground. I gasped, squeezed my eyes shut. But the memories kept coming, waking up in unfamiliar sheets, with a woman in white taking my pulse and Franklin standing by the window, watching me with an expression I couldn't read. The way he'd stayed, the way he'd called a doctor in the middle of the night for a woman who'd tried to trap him. My knees buckled. I sank to the floor, back against the wall, still gripping the bar. His kitchen. Marble counters cold under my palms, the taste of blood on my tongue from where I'd bitten my lip. Chocolate lava cakes at 2 a.m. because I couldn't sleep. His voice rough and low, "You're seriously testing me." And then his hands lifting me onto the counter, his mouth finding mine. "Open up. Let me show you how it's done." The way he kissed me, patient and devastating and nothing like I'd ever imagined kissing could be. I was crying. When did I start crying? A check, blue ink, $650,000. His handwriting sharp and certain across the paper, given freely, no strings, even after everything I'd done. Walking out into the cold night air, looking back once at the house, at the windows, at everything I was leaving behind. My voice breaking on the words I didn't want to say. Goodbye, Franklin. I remembered all of it. The wine I'd spilled on his suit, the cameras I'd hidden in my hotel room, his face when he found me out, not angry, not disgusted, just hungry, kissing me anyway, like the trap didn't matter, like I didn't matter, like only the wanting mattered. And then, leaving, taking his money without explaining why, walking away from the first man who'd ever made me feel like I could be wanted instead of needed. I sat on the cold bathroom floor, shaking, remembering everything I'd lost, everything I'd done. Kayla? Josh's voice outside the door. Urgent. The car's here. We need to go. I pulled myself up. My legs were unsteady. My face was wet with tears. I remembered. All of it. And he was lying in a hospital bed in Chicago, shot, possibly dying, and he had no idea that I finally knew, finally remembered, finally understood why it had hurt so much to lose memories I didn't even know I had. I opened the bathroom door. Josh's face went from impatient to alarmed. Jesus, Kay, what happened? Are you okay? I pushed past him, grabbed my phone, my bag. I remember, I said. Everything. I remember everything. What are you... The car, now. I was out the door before he could ask another question. Rush University Medical Center was chaotic. Fluorescent lights, nurses rushing past, announcements crackling over intercoms, the smell of antiseptic and coffee and fear. Nico met us at the entrance. He looked worse than I'd ever seen him. Shirt untucked, stubble on his jaw, something wild behind his eyes. Where is he? Room 412, 4th floor. Surgery was successful. Bullet missed the artery. He's stable. Take me there. Take me there? He didn't argue, just turned and walked. I followed, Josh somewhere behind me, my heart pounding in my ears. The elevator took forever. The hallway stretched for miles. Every door looked the same. White, numbered, hiding people who were hurting or dying or waiting for news that would change everything. Room 412. Nico stopped outside, nodded at the door. I pushed it open. Franklin was in the bed, eyes closed, bandages wrapped around his shoulder, disappearing beneath a hospital gown. Monitors beeping a steady rhythm, and Ford dripping something clear into his arm. He looked so small lying in the hospital bed, the man who filled every room he entered, who commanded attention without trying, who made me feel small and furious and alive. Now he was just a body under white sheets, pale, still, human in a way I'd never let myself see before. I moved to the chair beside his bed, sat down, took his hand. His skin was warm. His fingers didn't curl around mine. He didn't wake. I sat with him for an hour, 2, watching his chest rise and fall, counting the beeps of the monitor, memorizing the lines of his face, the stubble on his jaw, the furrow between his brows, the way his mouth turned down, even in sleep. Josh brought me coffee. I didn't drink it. Nico checked in twice. I barely acknowledged him. The room got dark. Someone turned on a lamp. The fluorescent overhead stayed off, leaving us in warm shadows. And then, because I couldn't hold it anymore, I started talking. I remember my voice was rough, unused, all of it. His eyes stayed closed. His breathing didn't change. I wasn't protecting you by leaving. I was just scared. The monitor beeped, steady, indifferent. And now you're in a hospital bed with a bullet in your shoulder, and I never got to tell you. I was crying now. Really crying, the ugly kind that made my nose run and my chest heave. I love you. The words came out broken. I fell for you twice, once when I was dying and didn't deserve you, once when I couldn't remember why you mattered. Both times I was too scared to say it. I gripped his hand tighter. Please don't die, please. I'll stay in whatever house you put me in. I'll sign whatever contract you want. I'll do whatever you... I didn't know you were that head over heels for me. My head snapped up. His eyes were open, watching me with an expression that made my chest crack. You're awake? For the past 10 minutes. You let me. I wasn't going to interrupt. His voice was rough, scratchy from the anesthesia. You were on a roll. I was confessing, and it was fascinating. The corner of his mouth twitched. Please continue. I believe you were offering to sign things. I hit his good shoulder. He winced. I hate you. No, you don't. You let me cry. You let me sit here thinking you might be dying while I wanted to hear it. His hand found mine again, held on. I wanted to hear you say it without knowing I was listening. That's the only way I'd know this was real. That's manipulative. I'm a manipulative person. You knew that. I hate you. You said that already. His thumb traced my knuckles. You also said you loved me. Which one is it? I stared at him. This infuriating, impossible man, shot, bandaged, hooked up to machines, and still somehow in control of the conversation. Both, I said finally. It's both. I can work with that. He pulled me closer. I went, careful of his bandages, careful of the four, but I went. Sat on the edge of his bed. Let him keep holding my hand. I love you too. His voice was quiet, serious. I've loved you since you put my bleeding finger in your mouth without thinking. Since you showed up at my restaurant in that ridiculous dress and tried to sell yourself for surgery money. Since you made chocolate lava cakes in my kitchen at 2 a.m. and looked at me like I was the answer to a question you hadn't figured out yet. Franklin, let me finish. He took a breath. It caught in his chest, pain or emotion I couldn't tell. I pushed you away because I didn't know how to want something without being terrified of losing it. Elena, she took everything while I was unconscious, and I told myself I'd never let anyone close enough to do that again. Josh told me. I know, Nico texted. His grip on my hand tightened, but I'm done being scared. I nearly died today, and all I could think about, bleeding in the back of a car, wondering if I'd make it to the hospital, was that I never told you, that you'd never know. I would have known that my voice was thick. I already knew, I just didn't want to admit it. Because I'm difficult. Because you're impossible. I laughed. It came out wet. You blackmailed me. You held my debt over my head. You bought me a dog. You seemed lonely. I was lonely and confused and falling for my captor like some kind of, don't say Stockholm Syndrome. I was going to say idiot. He laughed, then winced, hand going to his shoulder. Don't make me laugh. It hurts. Good, you deserve it. Probably. We were quiet for a moment. The monitor beeped. Somewhere outside the room, Josh and Nico were arguing about something, vending machine food from the sound of it. I remember everything, I said. The blackmail, the cameras, walking out without saying goodbye. I know. You know, I always knew who you were, Kayla. His eyes held mine. From the moment you spilled wine on me and pretended it was an accident. I knew you were planning something. I knew you were desperate. I knew you'd probably take my money and run. Then why? Because I didn't care. He said it simply. Honestly, you walked into my life with your terrible plan and your terrible execution and your complete inability to hide what you were feeling. I stared at him. You're insane. Probably. He tugged my hand. Come here. I leaned down, careful. His good hand came up, cupped my jaw. He kissed me, soft, careful. Nothing like the kisses before, desperate and consuming and fighting for control. This was something else. Something that tasted like relief and exhaustion and the terrifying possibility of a future. When he pulled back, his thumb traced my cheekbone. Stay. I'm not going anywhere. I mean after, when we settle here in Chicago, when I'm healed. His eyes searched mine. Stay with me, because you want to. But I owe you. I tore up the contract the day you came out of surgery. I blinked. What? There was never a debt, Kayla, not really. His mouth curved. I just needed an excuse to keep you close. You're unbelievable, I laughed, cried, some combination of both that made my chest ache and my face wet and my heart feel too big for my body. So? He was watching me, waiting. Will you stay? I looked at him. This impossible man in his hospital bed with his gunshot wound and his ruined contracts and his 7 years of walls crumbling around him. Ask me again when you're not high on painkillers. I'm not high. I'm moderately altered. Same difference. Please tell me, Kay, will you stay? I leaned down, kissed him once more, soft. Yes. He fell asleep an hour later. I stayed in the chair beside his bed, his hand still holding mine. Josh appeared in the doorway at some point, looked at us, smiled. Nico owes me $50. You bet on us? I bet you'd figure it out before he died. Nico thought you were both too stubborn. He shrugged. I had faith. Go away, Josh. Going, he paused. Biscuit's probably destroying something expensive back home, just so you know. I'll deal with it later. You'll deal with a lot of things later, he grinned. But you're smiling, so I think you'll be okay. He left. The room was quiet, just the beeping monitors and Franklin's steady breathing and my heart finally slowing down. But his hand was still holding mine. And for now, that was enough. If you made it to the end of Kayla and Franklin's story, I need to hear from you. Rate this story 1 to 10 in the comments. Be honest, I can take it. Also, did you watch part 1? And tell me, who was your favorite character? Was it Franklin with his 7 years of walls? Josh with his terrible burgers and perfect timing? Nico and his deadpan loyalty? Or Kayla herself? Also, which scene hit you the hardest? The pool, the fitting room, or the hospital confession? Drop your answers below. And if this story made you feel something, smash that like button right now. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another story. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy your sweet little life, and I'll see you in the next one.